Representative Walsh, there are several bills this session that seek to redefine independent contracting in Washington state. Why is this dangerous for hundreds, potentially thousands of business owners across the state?
This was really the greatest thing I've seen in a long time here in Olympia. The hairdressers and salon owners around the state were activated by a bill which was really designed to kill their industry, that would eliminate independent contractors. And in the beauty salon business and the haircutting business, it's a tradition almost 100 years old that a lot of these people work as independent contractors. They do what's called renting a chair within the salon where they work. But really what they are, the haircutter is a small independent business. They operate their own overhead, they operate their own hours, they run their own show. And it's a great tradition. It allows hairdressers, often women, often mothers, a great deal of flexibility in how they work and how they earn their living. And this bill that was drafted by a left-leaning state senator just would have killed all that. They activated, they got really engaged, and the hairdressers showed up here and complained loudly and clearly about this bad bill. There are a couple of similar bills in the works here, a couple of House bills, number 1515, for those at home who look this stuff up, and number 1601, two House bills that do kind of the same thing. They're a little broader than the Senate bill, which was focused just on hairdressers. But they basically try to get rid of independent contractors in any industry. So that would include hairdressers, truck drivers, freelance writers, all kinds of things. And these bills are just anti-business bills. They're terrible bills. They want to push small businesses, the smallest businesses, sole proprietors, one-person operations, out of business. It's just an example of the pendulum swinging way too far in one direction. And I'm really encouraged and happy to see that common sense people in Washington are pushing back and are going to swing that pendulum back toward reason.
The Senate recently approved a bill moving up the presidential primary, but it still forces people to declare party affiliation. You've introduced a House bill that would allow people the option of voting without assigning themselves as a Democrat or Republican. Why is it important for the presidential primary to allow people not to choose a party?
Yeah, this is a great issue. The bill that I've worked on to move the presidential primary earlier in the cycle, I've done in coordination with the Secretary of State, Kim Wyman. So I think it's the best bill. It moves the primary earlier in the process, more toward the month of March in the year that the president's elected. Lately, we've been voting much later in the process, oftentimes after the whole thing's been kind of figured out. Most everybody in Olympia agrees we want to move it back earlier, put it earlier in the process so Washington has more say. Maybe coordinate a kind of West Coast Super Tuesday type deal where several West Coast states might do their primaries on the same date. All of this would encourage more voter turnout, and ultimately that's what we want. We want voter turnout. Now, the number one complaint that I hear from voters, number one, about the presidential primary is, Jim, I don't want to check that box. On the current presidential primary ballot, you got to check the box as identifying either as a Republican or a Democrat. Now, it's not a long-lasting thing. It's not registering to either party. But for that one day, you've got to check which party you affiliate with in order to vote in the presidential primary. Well, this is what I hear the most complaint about. People in my part of the state, and really the whole state, are really fiercely independent. They don't want to identify with either major party or any party. They want to be non-affiliated. They want to be independent voters. And currently, they can't vote in the presidential primary. And in other bills, the state Senate bill that's trying to move the primary earlier, it remains that way. Non-affiliated independent voters can't vote. My bill, the bill that I worked on with the Secretary of State, finds a better option. It allows unaffiliated voters to still vote in the presidential primary. Now, the parties may not choose to use that information, that vote, but the people can vote, and we can get our voices heard, and we can have a primary that will show a large and useful swath of Washington voters and who they want for president. And I think that's a good thing. We need to get more people voting. And anything we can do to encourage larger voter turnout, I support.